Słuchasz podcastu Angielski z Konradem. Nowe odcinki każdego tygodnia. Jeśli chcesz popracować nad płynnością, nabrać odwagi do konwersacji, skorygować często popełniane błędy bądź poznać skuteczne metody nauki, ta audycja jest dla Ciebie. Remember, you're not at school, so chill out, kick back and enjoy yourself. Let's begin. Witaj w kolejnym odcinku. Zanim zaczniemy, pozwól, że pokrótce przypomnę, jak możesz wykorzystać mój podcast. Jeżeli czujesz się pewnie ze swoim angielskim, wystarczy, że przesłuchasz audycji. Dla tych z Was, którzy potrzebują odrobiny pomocy, pamiętajcie o notatkach do odcinka. Zatrzymuj podcast, przejrzyj notatki, w razie potrzeby powtórz nagranie. Zapisz się do newslettera za pośrednictwem strony angielskiskonradem.pl, by otrzymać natychmiastowy dostęp do notatek z tego i wszystkich poprzednich odcinków. Dostaniesz również powiadomienia o nowych odcinkach. Jeżeli masz pytania, uwagi bądź sugestie, skontaktuj się ze mną za pośrednictwem adresu angielskiskonradem@gmail.com bądź za pośrednictwem fanpage'a Angielski z Konradem na Facebooku. Switching to English. Greetings! Welcome to another episode of Angielski z Konradem. I hope you are well, ready and willing to learn. Thank you for joining me today. Let's begin with some vocabulary. Flawless. Flawless. Perfekcyjny. Drive. Drive. Determinacja. Blunder. Blunder. Pomyłka. Learning curve. Learning curve. Tempo uczenia się. Deteriorate. Deteriorate. Pogarszać się, podupadać. I would like to begin today's podcast by confessing something. I am a dummy. Over the past few episodes, I noticed that quality of my recordings was a bit off. I had to speak very loudly because it seemed that my microphone had some issues with volume. I checked the software I use. I checked the connection, tried different cables, tried recording on a different computer, to no avail. Turns out that it was a very silly issue. You see, my microphone is directional, meaning it records voice from one direction only. It just so happened that I was recording with my microphone facing the wall. After further investigation, I noticed that there is a symbol on the microphone which shows you the right direction. The point is, I am not a perfectionist, nor do I strive to be one. For me, perfection is an abstract idea. It can never be achieved, so I don't even try. I perform my duties to the best of my ability. I always try to do my best, but I'm also aware of my limits and shortcomings. I don't let them stop me, though. Perfectionists, however, are a whole different story, and the topic of today's podcast. A perfectionist is a person who strives for perfection. A perfectionist always wants to be perfect, flawless, do no wrong. What's wrong with that? Well, it appears that a lot is wrong with perfectionists. It all boils down to one thing. You expect the impossible. Nothing is perfect, and nobody is perfect. You will find flaws everywhere. In nature, in people, in yourself even. There is always something to pick at. That's perfectly fine. Where there are flaws, there's also room for improvement. We are never perfect, so we can always improve. Some may use it as an excuse not to try. They may say, if perfection is impossible, why should I even bother? To that I say, you completely miss the point. Being a perfectionist holds you back, but being the opposite doesn't advance you in any way. You don't move forward, you stay at the same spot. It's no better than being a perfectionist. It's even worse because perfectionists at least try. Are you a perfectionist? Let's look at today's article and find out. The author gives us 9 signs by which you can tell whether you are a perfectionist or not. You'll find the link to the article in your podcast notes. Be sure to check it out. Number 1. You expect perfection from everyone. When you were learning how to ride a bicycle, did you get it perfectly the first time? What about walking, or running, or playing ball? When you started learning English, did you get everything on the fly? Of course not. However, the perfectionist will look down upon anyone who do not live up to his or her expectations. As we are talking about non-existent, abstract notion, those expectations tend to be tad unrealistic. That's especially unbearable if you've got a perfectionist boss or a teacher. They operate on a binary scale, 0, 1. Either you get something the first time or you don't get it at all. Such individuals can discourage you from trying again or even kill your motivation outright. Despite what you may think about yourself, you are not perfect. It's unfair to expect anyone else to be. Number 2. You struggle to complete tasks in a timely manner. I know a lot of individuals, both learners and friends, who rarely meet their deadline. Not because they're lazy or anything, mostly because they think their work is inferior. They think their work is not good enough to hand in. Perfectionists are always late with their job because they are never satisfied with the results. So when they write an email, for example, they will scrap their work and start from scratch several times. They want to achieve something that they are unable to achieve. There is always room for improvement, no matter how good you are at something. That doesn't mean that the work you have already done deserves to be put in a bin. Take a look at athletes. The winners, the ones who get gold medals, are the best, but they are by no means perfect. There's a better Usain Bolt in the making somewhere, a better LeBron James, a better Robert Lewandowski. That doesn't stop them from giving it their best as often as they can. Number 3. You view mistakes as proof you're inadequate. Inadequate means not good enough. You made a mistake and you think that there's something wrong with you. You don't view them as an opportunity to grow stronger, smarter, better overall. That's something that is left over in most of us after our education, after our school years. Tell me, and please be honest, how did you view a person who made a lot of mistakes at school? As a dummy? As a loser? Mistakes are perfectionists' worst enemy. They are the main cause of high anxiety levels. When mistakes happen, not if, when, the perfectionist will look for flaws mostly in themselves. There's nothing wrong in a bit of self-criticism every now and then, but the higher you put that bar, the more unfair the judgment. What if someone notices that you're a perfectionist and you have your flaws? That brings us to number 4. You invest a lot of energy into masking your flaws. As a perfectionist, you want to be seen by the rest of the world as perfect yourself. It goes without saying. This means that you would go out of your way to hide any imperfections, or mask your flaws, in other words. A perfectionist would make a great effort to convince everyone that everything is just peachy, while the reality most often is quite the opposite. That's probably not the best of analogies, but wearing makeup is such a mean of masking your flaws. Now, imagine you apply such a makeup to your skills. It's only pretend. It's just a question of time until the lack of competence is unmasked. Number 5. You avoid doing things that may cause you to fail. A perfectionist never takes risk. Why? Because there's always a chance that the risk taken will backfire. Something will not go as planned. So, for a perfectionist, it's better not to do it at all. If you keep doing things the way you know best, without any deviations, you can be sure that your comfort zone will keep you, well, comfortable. You don't improve in any way, but you will feel better with yourself. It isn't too difficult to notice after a while. Avoiding challenging tasks is a bit like staying in the Little League for the rest of your life. Think of a chess grandmaster challenging amateurs. Of course he will win every single time. Sure, you're going to mop the floor with beginners, but there's no glory in that. Bottom line, perfectionists will stick to the bottom line. Simple tasks where success is more or less guaranteed. Number 6. You can't celebrate your success. That's probably the saddest aspect of being a perfectionist. Instead of celebrating a successful achievement, you keep looking for holes in it. You fail to find happiness in anything you do because you keep chasing that red herring. Instead of being happy about something a perfectionist has done right, they would rather criticize their performance, usually in a very harsh manner. This have gone wrong. That could have gone so much better. That aspect, oh my god, it's hopeless. Don't even get me started on those minute details nobody noticed. As you can imagine, a perfectionist is a real downer to be around. How can you appreciate your success if someone is telling you that there is nothing to be satisfied about? Number 7. Your self-worth depends on your achievement. When you're a perfectionist, how you view yourself depends entirely on your performance. For a perfectionist, the only good job is the perfect job. Praise for flawless performance is the only praise that such a person is going to accept. Imagine there's an Employee of the Month contest in your workplace, just like the ones in American films, with a wall of portraits and all. The perfectionist will downplay his self-worth if his face isn't in every single frame. Number 8. Your quest for perfection causes your mental health to deteriorate. I'm no psychologist, but it isn't hard to imagine that perfectionists' attitude has an enormous impact on their mental well-being. Not meeting impossible standards all the time brings a perfectionist to his knees. If you feel inferior all the time, that will take its toll on your mental health sooner or later. It's unbearable to live under such pressure all the time. Perfectionists punish themselves for no good reason. If you are living under the fear of such punishment, self-inflicted though it may be, you will eventually reach a point where this anxiety invades other aspects of your life. Okay, number 9. You aren't satisfied with your life. Anything that is not perfect is dragging you down. Nothing can ever be perfect, so everything is dragging you down. Your professional life is not perfect, so it makes you unhappy. Your personal life is not perfect, so it makes you unhappy. You fail to find contentment in anything. If you expect perfection from everything, you will be disappointed. In turn, this disappointment makes a perfectionist think his life is unfulfilling. It's time to wrap things up. I didn't record this episode to bring anyone down, mind you. I just want everyone to realize that aiming for perfection can be harmful in more ways than one. There is this saying, Be the best version of yourself. It's a nice sentiment. My point is,